Now, go get some Flyboys points.
Welcome to the Friendly Geordies podcast. Thank you for joining us today. And for those of you who always ask, I've seen a few comments like that. I'm never able to find the pre-show of the podcast.
Yeah.
It's because you're not a patron. So either you become a patron and you can go on Friendly Geordies podcast Patreon page and you can access the pre-show as well as the upload. Or if you want to access it without paying, you can always watch us live on Twitch, and we usually do the pre-show as well. So there's a way if you're not doing so well financially.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, all you have to do is waste your time.
First topic.
Sound effects.
First topic, I'm guessing, is going to be a very short one, but what's been dominating the headlines is Scott Morrison claiming that he is actually Gandhi and he's never lied.
What?
He said that he was asked, because you know how Macron was calling him a liar, and so he was pressed on some radio show being like, do you lie heaps, mate? Is that what's going on here? Like, you're just a liar? And he's like, nah, I do not lie at all. I do not lie at all. And he's like, have you ever lied? And he's like, nah, I've never lied in public office before.
Jeez.
And so then, like,
I don't know what else you say to that, though. You have to just say another lie.
No, you don't. You don't. What you do not say is I've never lied ever. Because, like,
that's dumb.
What's going to happen is people are going to put comparison videos of every time you've ever lied.
But if you say that you're a liar, I suppose you've saved everyone else the time of doing the comparison videos.
Yeah.
There's a more diplomatic way of doing it.
There's a more, which is like...
Which is
be like, you know...
you know what you should say? Yeah, about top secret stuff, of course.
Not even, just skirt around the question, dude. You go like this, you go, well, lying. I mean, this day and age, in the political... You know, you just bullshit, like the political sphere. There's a wide variety of avenues which we all take, and at this point the person's forgotten the question. You're like, and in this service, there is a number of, look, I took an oath. Do you know those books that are in Parliament? It's not just all about billabongs. It's mainly about them, but there's other things too.
What if he had just said? What if he had just said? Okay.
Such a specific body of water.
What do you think about this answer? If he was, have you ever lied in public office before? And he says, well, if it's for the welfare of Australians, yes, I do, and I'm not ashamed of it.
That's a boss one, but you can't say that. It's a boss line.
What do you think? I think it could
fly.
Work. As opposed to lying
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, I've never lied ever, which is a lie. So he lied about the time how he's never lied.
Yeah, it's not that's not the right thing to say.
Yes, but how long were you cooking that up, Ali? If someone just asked you on the fly, do you think that you could retrieve that? Because I think, knowing me, I would just say, yeah, I've lied. Probably lying right now.
That's why you can never run for young Labour.
I think you can foresee it for several reasons. One, you're thinking of it from a perspective of like, you're not the prime minister and someone just makes you the prime minister and asks you that question, you might not be able to answer and you might say something like, oh, I've never lied. But if you're the prime minister, which has to regularly, at least if not lie, then dabble in gray areas in terms of truth, sometimes for genuine reasons. And also, the entire news cycle for last week has been dominated by how you're a liar. Maybe you think of a response that's appropriate?
True. Do you think it's forgivable if you say human beings on average lie 26 times a day?
That would work for you and you only.
But the Prime Minister's not on Twitch.
Actually, I mean, if you look at the statistics, I think in both of our conversations, both of us have lied at least 3.5 times per average.
Dude, there's a reason why.
What about this as a response? No, I do not lie. Do you? And let me ask you this. How did I go to create one job?
That would be a better response than I've never lied in my life.
That's the best response. Oh, God. Bring back whatever his name is. Shucky Ducky kind of man. What's his name again?
Herman Cain.
I don't know why I keep thinking his name's Wesley Pipes. Dude, Herman Cain. Bring him back to the dead.
Herman Cain might be a funnier name than Wesley Pipes.
Get the hashtag trend. Bring back
Citizen Cain.
Dude, that is so good. That is a good response. No, I don't know. How's it going to create one job? It's a great response.
Yeah, it
that
is
would work.
actually. I still think that if you're saying the average person lies 26 times, I reckon I lie about 13 times a day. So I'm twice as honest as everyone else in this country. Well, that's actually quite a Keating answer. If you think about it. So it's just like you've alienated everyone, including yourself.
Yeah, but that's an autistic answer. It would be appreciated by artists, but it would be not
what would be appreciated by the average person? Oh, I don't lie, but I fib. Tell fibs all the time.
That's a little white lies. If you're somewhere,
never heard anyway.
But dude,
you could also go the aggressive waterboarding strategy, which is how when like Bush was asked and like his cabinet were like, well, how do you justify torture? And their basic response was, look, mate, there's certain dirty stuff that we have to do that you don't need to know about, but what you should be grateful for is that someone's willing to do that for you. And that, for some reason, a lot of Americans were like, yeah, fair enough. I just don't want to know about it, but I know it happens, and I also know that it would need to happen in certain situations.
It's definitely the way to garner respect out of the situation.
Dude, I'm telling you, guys aren't paying. Like, think about it's all, dude. Those fucking press conferences are all about deflection. Like, think about what Albo would do. He'd be like, "This is what you do." You go, he'd say, "Do you ever lie?" He'd be like, "This is what you should say." She'd be like, "Actually, that's a very silly question." And that is also beside the point. Then start talking about policy.
I think he'd say this. No, mate, I never lie. And coincidentally, that's a lovely jumper you've got on.
Actually, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's really a reflection of your personality, isn't it? It's a reflection of your personality. And ScoMo's personality is just to fucking bullshit. To lie. But
you know what's the most appropriate response when, like, because I didn't know about this. My brother told me. My brother was like, "Oh, ScoMo said he's never lied," and my immediate response was the same as like any other boomer living in Sarah Hills. Well, that's Scotty from marketing for you.
Scotty from marketing.
Because that is such a Scotty from marketing response.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
Well, look, I think we've come to the conclusion that Scott Morrison
could have been handled better.
No, he's never lied. I think I'm convinced he's speaking the truth.
Yeah, maybe he's never in his life. That's so
Scott
insane.
Morrison has never lied.
I reckon he's told more lies than truths. In fact, definitely. That's a fucking fact. The shit is pushing in Parliament. You know, like, I think work choices is the right move. Lie. I'm aware work choices is a old policy, but you get the point.
He's a bit like Trump, where sometimes I genuinely think he doesn't know that he's lying.
Yeah.
Like, he would say, like, I've never rubbished electric vehicle technology ever in my life. And you look at, like, a video from, like, 3 years ago, he's like, it's the dumbest thing ever. They're canceling weekends. I think he just forgets, because, when you lie so much, you forget that you've lied. So you think you've been speaking the truth.
Also, even if you weren't, don't you think does that count as a lie if you don't know it's a lie?
George Costanza. It's not a lie.
If you believe it. That was a pearl. I remember being 7 and hearing that and being like, really?
But it's kind of...
that doesn't apply to Scott Morrison. That applies to someone like Alex Jones,
Yes.
So why not Scott Morrison? Oh, you don't think he actually believes it?
Yeah, no, because he's too much of a dodgy person. He's such a marketing guy that
but Trump,
he's like whatever
believes
works.
His own shit. I think Trump believes his own shit.
And now he's saying, Scotty is saying he's the underdog now.
He is the underdog.
But that's how he's painting himself.
Yeah,
like
that's how
just a battler from the eastern suburbs. Moved to Coogee, battling on with my various properties. Battle.
My scam.
How long's this interview going? I've got a game at that Sharks-owned golf club down south.
Yeah, I'm just a regular guy, and hurry up. I need to play golf with the police commissioner after this.
That's right. He's also a battler. His lawn's pretty brown right now.
Underdogs can have a personal security guard.
Or two. Okay, all right. Well, look, that's we've exhausted that one, but I think... All right, so the next one, and this is more of something that I kind of wanted to bring up, and it might get us into a little bit of trouble.
Hot water.
But...
All right, AUWU, get ready to clip.
Take
Panthera. But, like, come on. We have to defend this man. at least I have to defend. Paul Keating recently did a speech where he spoke about certain foreign policy ideas of Australia, which have landed him into a lot of controversy. Not only is the Liberal Party calling him not a traitor, but like selling some of their, like, it's the whole rhetoric. Anyway, I'll start. It's gotten really toxic. Like, you usually don't have these in democratic societies, but basically what Paul Keating said, and you can agree or disagree with it, but this is his thesis, which I want to preface also happens to be mine too. So I want to put that out there first. But which is his point is
Twitch,
that,
get ready to make a lot of snarky comments.
yeah.
We got the right coloured table.
So according to Paul Keating, Taiwan is the crux of it is that it's not worth Australia fighting a war with China for. He says that Taiwan isn't an inherent security issue for Australia. Hence, our strategy towards China should be dictated not by this red line. The red line is if you do anything to Taiwan, where we, along with the US, are going to fight a war with you. And Keating is saying that Australia is constantly looking to protect itself from Asia, where it needs to protect Asia and consider it as part of Asia. If that makes sense. So he's
he's not even saying that. He's within Asia. He's saying that we should get our protection from other Asian neighbouring countries.
Well,
Really, that's pretty hectic.
maybe I didn't.
Is it hectic?
Yes. Bali.
No, but like in the argument that he is giving is like a lot of people.
Just oars. Here's some oars. Thanks.
He even talked about like the AUKUS handling of how he.
Sorry,
He's saying by like retreating into the Anglosphere against China, which is essentially like your old partners.
I agree with the
US
Taiwan statement wholeheartedly.
But he also said like a few things else, which is
You know
that
what else he said, which was great, and I'm so glad he summed it up. Classic Keating. He said that the nuclear subs deal is like throwing a toothpick at a mountain.
yeah, that's the other thing he said because he's right. You're buying. It's kind of depressing to think about.
Right?
I don't know. But
You're buying 6 or 7 submarines,
Yeah.
which, by the way, will be delivered 30 years later for some reason.
30 years!
I don't know how this happened.
So we'll all be dead. One of 3 of us.
1 out of 3 of us will be dead.
Starting to realise what the nuclear sub deal is.
It's just money.
Yeah,
It's
but
business.
it's old school BC paying tribute to a king that has a larger army than you.
Yeah, it's just a very expensive statement to China that if you mess with us, we've got some back and we're willing to arm ourselves to beat you.
Yeah, at best case scenario, 2050, where we will definitely be carbon neutral.
Yeah. Anyways, that's Keating's point of view, but
what a perfect clipped line. That's great.
but he's been getting flack for it from every corner. There's literally no one who is supporting him. So you've got.
Wait a sec. Can we just break this down? Okay. Collectively, the thing he says on Taiwan, I think we all agree, is pretty fair statement.
No, okay, I'll give you the opposite view as well. So the opposite view to Keating is, and just playing devil's advocate, they say that Keating's idea of China is based on the 70s China.
Yeah.
And it's not 2021 China, because 2021 China is a lot more aggressive.
Yeah.
And they also say that Taiwan becomes important to Australia because what happens to Taiwan will dictate how China deals with its other neighbors in Asia, which will affect us.
No, I
so
get
that's
that.
that's their argument, which.
No, but I want to go through Keating's points one by one so we can all make a consensus. Like Taiwan, do we all agree? Yes or no?
No.
Liar.
I've never told a lie in my life.
You're lying right now, aren't you, Chief Minister?
No.
Chairman?
No.
Chairman, you're not even looking at me, Chairman.
Mate, how many times do I have to say it? It's not that hard. His job's all right. It's pretty easy.
good. It's an easy job.
It's an easy job.
Fact. Prime Minister, easiest job in the world. Moving on.
Yeah.
However, the Taiwan thing, I get it, but do you really think it's wise to ditch our Western alliances and just get defense from what? Japan and I don't know who else. Indonesia?
You're not. You're Japan and
was
Japan
his
is
other
also
point?
with you.
So what was his other point?
His other point, like, look, his main point is, which is something he's voiced a lot, so I'm not making this up, is like, you need to recognize the trend that where the US is headed and where Asia is headed. So you need to formulate your foreign policy for the next 60 years based on where the trend is going.
Can't we do that in terms of trade and have a reasonable policy with trade with China? And then still keep sort of somewhat political binds with America? Isn't that possible?
Well, that's what John Howard wants you to believe, and that's what the entire political apparatus.
You don't think it's possible
as well?
Yeah.
So the only way we can do it is if
the US doesn't
instead of the Queen at
claim it to be
QBB, we have to erect Mao. That's the only way you see forward.
We can keep the Queen. And if we don't, we can go to war on that. But that is in our strategic interest.
I think it's a bit.
Doesn't matter if you take the Queen down.
But surely it's a bit naive to be like, we're China's biggest ally.
Look, and I want to thank, I can't remember the person's name, but someone from one of our pod listeners actually sent me a very, very interesting lecture video, which came from, I can't remember what institute it was, but I think it might have been like one of the big defense ANU-based defense institutes in Australia. So what it had was, there was an American representative, one of their professors who came and who's worked with all of the establishment, and he came to pitch the idea of why Australia should go against China. And then there was the Australian sort of moderates. They didn't give space to the Keating worldview, but there was the moderate. And like, I'll tell you what the discussion was. So it was actually very enlightening, because the American was basically saying in very, very plain terms, you don't have a choice. If you're not with us, you're against us. So if you decide that you want to be neutral, then America is your enemy, and you should know that.
Really?
And he was also saying, if you side with us, then China will be your enemy. So you need to pick an enemy, and I would recommend you to pick us.
Right.
For whatever reason. That was his point of view. Very crazy. Then you had the moderate person's point of view, whose idea was, I don't think America is worse than China. I prefer China. But what he was voicing, which was even more scary, was that I think when there will be a war, you will lose.
Don't say when.
And you will have to retreat. And Australia needs to be prepared for that scenario, where the US loses and goes, and then you've got a victorious China attacking us after losing the war, which is the nightmare scenario. So this is where the spectrum of Australian politics is at the moment. Then you've got the other opinion, which is the Paul Keating opinion, that it doesn't need to get anywhere of that sort.
Opinion.
And the Bob Carr opinion.
And the Kevin Rudd opinion.
And the Kevin Rudd opinion.
He always says, oh, we can all be friends.
Right.
But
and let's be real, a lot of
American think tank.
He has an American think tank, and he is constantly trying to tread that path narrowly, and he has done wonders in terms of diplomacy.
Yeah.
But man, the writing is on the wall. You can only tread that path for so long. It's getting narrower.
It's getting narrow. And you've always... And it's not narrow, because like our government has made that decision. We're siding with the US, and we're doing it very, very aggressively and blatantly. And particularly with AUKUS, actually that was one of the points that Paul Keating was also made, that why AUKUS was such a stupid decision, because not only do you show China that you're against them by signing up to AUKUS, but you also alienate one of the biggest powers in the Pacific, which is France, by doing this. So instead of getting friends that will help you counter China, you're actually making enemies and pushing them toward China, who are supposed to be your friends.
That's true, yeah.
So basically, and he also criticized the Labour Party for
So is this on this? This is all just bloviating, and as soon as it becomes apparent that there is going to be some kind of conflict, the US actually will retreat. And Australia will just hoist up a bunch of Chinese flags.
No, and then we'll be screwed. Then you know what?
Happen.
Jesus, I don't think so.
All of this is just respecting power. Yeah. Australia has no principles. The US has no principles. China has no principles. It's just who has the most nukes,
America.
And then it gets settled out from there.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
No,
okay,
but
well, let's just take nukes out of the... At some point, there's just going to be too many naval ships that they start barging up against each other like it's Darling Harbour with its yachts and taxis. And at that point, someone's going to have more yachts and they're just going to buy out those spaces and go, no, we docked to that area. Yeah. And that's going to be the war.
And I can tell you one more thing. If that scenario comes true where we side with the US, we fight a war, and like the Korean War or the Vietnam War or the Afghanistan War, US loses, they're just going to go back to their Western hemisphere and they're going to be fine. But we will be screwed. And you know all those like worries that you have about China and their cultural hegemony? If we are the losing side in this situation, that will actually come true. Because no one is nice towards the losers, particularly in a war.
And how much more sensible does it sound, Paul Keating's policy of, okay, the AEST Treaty was very helpful for us when Japan was invading, and coincidentally the US wanted to invade Japan. They've never actually done us a favour. When everyone always sits there and says, oh yeah, no, they really helped us out in World War II, they helped themselves. It's just, we were, again, just nothing, some floating island out of nowhere, and they just use us as a port for now. But what Paul Keating is saying is that eventually new rules are going to be written up, and what we are doing is making sure that we are not going to have a table when those new trade rules are written up. I mean, sorry, a seat at the table when those new trade rules are going to be written up. It's just China's going to be sitting there saying, here's the new terms. As opposed to if we just sat there and said, okay, look, the AEST Treaty was all well and good in 1945. Yeah. I'm sick of going to Iraq and Taiwan for no reason. You can do that if you want. They're going to say, well, then you're an enemy. What does that mean? We don't get to rip you off on shit submarines anymore. Oh, what a shame.
It seems like either way it's bad. We're fucked. It's a huge risk either way.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's
just
huge
a realignment of power, and he's saying that alignment of power is inevitably going to happen. You want to be sitting there saying, okay, well, let's try and make the new trade structure work like this, as opposed to China saying, here's how it's going to work.
No, I understand that. It's just, it'd be cool if we could please both powers.
Which is what John Howard tried to do and could do in his time.
Yeah, but his time was slightly different. We're walking, but it can still be done. The fact that there is no space here or there is the opinion of Americans who would want us to think that way. Right?
I don't like all these...
It doesn't mean... The other thing that Paul Keating...
Doesn't it freak you out that our national broadcaster is slamming Paul Keating going, oh my God, he said that we shouldn't have a war over an island that we have no stake or claim over that's thousands of kilometres away. Isn't that so strange? It's just so reminiscent of Iraq.
I agree with the Taiwan thing. It's like, I'm not saying... I understand that Taiwan's like Hong Kong and they're going to be upset and they love the free market and everything or whatever you want, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They love their, but like, ultimately, I feel like that's not our water.
Here's one legitimate reason for us, Australia, and actually the rest of the world to actually care about what happens to Taiwan.
Right.
This is a genuine interest.
Trade.
Taiwan is the biggest producer of what are those semiconductor chips that go into pretty much everything. Actually, that's part
and those Asian vending machines that cost $5 for a toy.
That one we can live without.
Can't we just go to Samsung?
But we can't live without the semiconductors. So it's actually a huge source of supply for not just us, for the rest of the world too. So if anything that threatens to disrupt that is actually going to be a problem for us.
Can't we all just use Korea and go to Samsung or something?
They don't have it, but I think the solution for that is to actually get other places.
It's just depressing. We're screwed. Dude, we're screwed. Our manufacturing's fucked. We have no plan for the future. We have no... Infrastructure's fucked. Sydney looks like shit now. Immigration numbers are fucked. International situation's fucked. That Croatian passport's looking real nice right now.
No, we still don't abandon the ship.
Huh?
Comparatively, do you want to be in Croatia in 30 years?
Yeah, kind of. Well, Croatia's just frozen in time. They got their Kement and their Chavapi, and they're good. There's a poor country.
Yeah, they've lived it through a lot of international conflicts that they have no power over.
Yeah, and like they've just ridden it out. And it's a small country, and they've got the fish, they got the ocean, they got the water, and it's like, you know, they're poor, but they're They're happy.
But they also have a different
economy
strategy
based on
towards
squid.
this.
Sorry?
They also have a difference. This is another thing that Paul Keating was pointing out, that a lot of Australians don't realize this, and I can vouch for this opinion because I come from an area that's not Australia. You think that the rest of the world is afraid of China, and they look at US as like a source of good,
Well, you think
good
Europe
versus
would.
evil.
You think Europe would.
But that's the thing. Like, most of the Asian countries don't think of the U.S. the same way we do, which is like a friend, helpful source of power, balancing act. They look at a U.S. as exactly as they look at China, which is a giant superpower that's not benign by any means. So we just need to like balance our interests and make sure that we don't get screwed. Which is why you had countries like Indonesia, which is a big country in this area, saying like, "What are you guys doing with this AUKUS thing?" The other thing, which is important to look at, aside from the UK and Europe, I'm not saying that they're siding with China, but they're not siding with us the same way that the UK did. They have a more balanced, which is essentially they have the approach which I think Keating is arguing for, which is that like they're looking at the trends and they're looking after their own interests, and they're saying we are concerned about China in this area, but none of these things is going to make us get into a war with them.
What would Albo do? What would Albo's approach be?
Albo
It would be a lot more sensible than the
Yeah.
Liberals. Definitely. The
Come on,
first
vote
thing that
him
would
in,
happen
everyone.
is he would not have a bunch of advisors around him that are weapons salesmen. That'd be a bit of an improvement,
It's
wouldn't
just-
it?
it's,
Wouldn't that be nice? Just having a bunch of people with PhDs in foreign policy,
Yeah, that would
as
be
opposed
nice.
to people saying, "You want my advice? I think you should buy the nuke subs."
Yeah, the ones that I made and work for. Yeah.
No, not those ones.
Yeah.
but Albo also
Those ones are cheaper. They're worse. Trust me.
Yeah, trust me. I'm the chairman.
Albo also disassociated himself from Keating's remarks
Which is the right move.
Well, that's the
to
right
win
move.
an election.
But that's the right political move.
I tell you,
Absolutely.
if Albo comes out supporting what Keating did, there is no way he's going to get elected in the next election.
But that's what I'm. That's
It is-
exactly. Yeah, that's what it was saying.
It's so unfair that Labor has to distance themselves from their most successful leader. But they kind of do. I do fully understand it. You're in no position not to.
But okay, if Keating, like, obviously Keating is a how would you put it?
Legend?
No, I was gonna say he's great, but like a
No Herman Cain.
big risk taker, striding into the unknown boldly. You know, happy to change the national flag to a boxing kangaroo at the drop of the hat kind of guy, right? What is his ideal situation? I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Is there not a little bit of naivety in regards to the possibility of a policy with China that is detrimental to Australia, even if it's done in a peaceful, way?
Well, he was easily the most successful foreign policy advocate we've ever had.
Yeah, in the 80s.
In the 80s. And he was setting us up for a future then of what he's screaming about now, which was he was opening up a bunch of trade organizations for Asian leaders to come together that didn't exist before, where they could sit around and talk about these things.
Yeah, but trade
Whereas
and power are
before,
different.
It was just everyone calling each other up
But
on those
isn't-
hilarious 80s phones.
But sorry, Ali, I'm doing my trade and power are like they're different things, right? Obviously, they're not mutually exclusive; they're sort of linked. But like the difference between having trade relations and soft power is a different thing. That's the argument, because it's kind of like, it's sensible to have trade relations, but if you're completely dependent on a country,
which we are.
I guess it's just inevitable, but I'm just saying like that relationship we're not holding the power there, and it can be used, it could easily be used against us.
Here's the thing that I think no one seems to understand is like, we don't have power. When people say we are a middle power, they mean that we have power over Fiji.
Well, then it's a philosophical question. Do we, does that power, does that mean that we are, it's a risk either way.
I don't think we are powerless because, again, if you just look at one example of China to put pressure on us, decided to ban all coal imports. What was the result of that?
True.
Coal prices went off the roof.
That's true.
They had a coal shortage. There were blackouts in China. They started importing most of their coal from Mongolia, which does not have the same sort of capacity that we could produce.
No, it fucked it.
So it
fucked
actually-
export. Not just that, it fucked food exports. It was like I watched an ABC documentary on it, and like some poor fella from Tasmania was like, "They're not buying the lobsters. I'm gonna kill myself." It was brutal.
The lobster bit is something that actually does hamper. Like the wine sales, a lot of that stuff is something that that's where we actually
have
suffer.
such a third world economy? What is this?
I know.
Like, oh no, lobster stocks are down.
I know.
Come
But-
on,
but, like-
can't we build one microchip?
So is it kind of just like it's happening whether we like it or not, and we just have to hope that China is what's the word I'm looking for? I guess diplomatic and fair with us. I mean, I like the idea.
That's
I like
the $1 million question. You know what all of this boils down to?
Well, you know what?
Sorry.
I think Kevin Rudd was doing it right. He definitely was. And I think that this is what Paul Keating is saying in his more Paul Keating way, and Rudd was saying it more diplomatically because he is a diplomat by trade. But essentially, Kevin Rudd was trying to make Australia the conductor between China and the US, sort of being neutral territory where you could say, let's just hash this out.
That's what it
here.
should be. Oh yeah. That's a great idea. Because it is, even though in the region it's Asia, I mean, like historically, blah blah blah, ties to the West. So it's like, couldn't we just be like on the monopoly board, like pass go, just like you are
Free parking.
Yeah, free parking. Maybe that's naive. I don't know.
We are free parking.
The US would say you can't have your cake and eat it.
Yeah, but I think that's what Paul Keating's saying. Call their bluff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the main. It all boils down to you have one point of view, which is the Keating point of view, that China is not necessarily looking to revoke all the rules of the game, but they're looking to add a few extra rules which favor them because of their position. And then you've got the other opinion that no, you are mistaken.
Yeah.
You don't know China as much as we do, and China wants to throw away the rule book and put their own rule book. And now you've just got to be like, you've got to guess who's right, because whoever you think is right in this scenario will form your foreign policy. Most of Australian establishment seems to think that they want to throw away the rule book, but this is where my opinion comes in. What evidence do you have for that? You could come up with a few things that China lays claim to the Southeast Sea, but anyone that's like engaging in this like sort of Cold War is going to have pressure tactics of that sort. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go through with it. But again, that's my opinion, and that also happens to be Keating's opinion too.
That's not a radical opinion to be like.
The biggest economy on Earth.
Well, like, do you know the answer to what their the psychology of the establishment of the country is thinking? No one fucking knows.
And the last point, which I think we have to, and this is where the Panthera comes in. This is Paul Keating's view.
Right.
I'm so happy that guy exists, so I don't have to take up on this view. But his view is that there are undoubtedly human rights abuses, and there are undoubtedly certain cultural practices of China which we are not for. He makes that clear. However, he says the question is it worth fighting a war for those principles?
And isn't it interesting?
And he thinks no.
I think war should never be...
For him, Taiwan is an issue.
No, I agree. Yeah.
That Taiwan and China have to deal with.
But isn't it always interesting that it's always just China's human rights abuses
not,
that matter?
Not,
the US's doesn't matter. Indonesia's doesn't matter. No one else's matters except theirs. And that's ours don't matter.
That's a very
just China's.
Well, ours are fine. But that's a very good point. It's like it's how could you not look at it from a political point of view when it's like, but you know, look at all these other. It's clear that that's used as a political point. Hey,
it's pure politics.
But look, this is where the cancel territory comes in.
Nah, you can't be canceled.
Look, let's just say we all recognize the human rights abuses, but I think the question is,
I just don't want
how
war.
far are you willing to go for those?
I just don't.
Because if you're going to rule out human rights abuses as we're not going to side with you, you can't side with anyone on planet Earth.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's a fair point.
But what about Bhutan?
Yeah, you can start with Bhutan, and I would love it if we did.
Yeah, the great power, the world versus Australia, a middle power, and
Bhutan.
a microscopic
together.
power, Bhutan.
Bhutan.
Kansas.
No, it is a like, oh man, I've watched a lot of stuff on it, and you know, I mean, the one thing that gives me a little glimmer of hope in this is that whether how true or not it is, like Jordan, you've said it, that like it seems that China is you know, if America is an economy, or apparently is an economy based on it's an empire based on war. You were saying China's based on infrastructure. If that's a fact, then it's like that's something, at least for me, that calms the nerves a little bit, because it's like, well, that's good.
Well, look, that sort of stuff can change. You don't know in future what
Yeah.
China's industrial complex would look like.
Right.
But either way, look, it's.
But the thing is, right?
But what this is where I am very concerned. Not necessarily about the World War stuff, but Scott Morrison, for instance, made it a point of like he used Paul Keating's speech as like how Labor's unpatriotic in terms of foreign policy. This is a genuine discussion that should be happening. There's nothing unpatriotic about it. It's just someone with a different point of view. And fuck you, you're not more patriotic than Paul Keating. The guy fucking,
Yeah, you're allowed.
you know, like you can't say he's not patriotic. He's proved it already.
Yeah, and if you live in a democracy, everyone gets a say, and especially someone that, I don't know, created Medicare.
Yeah.
I think he's allowed to have a
I think
say.
that's a bit patriotic.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty fucking patriotic.
Yeah.
You know, super.
So don't make this into like a fucking dictatorship point where like you've got a patriotic versus unpatriotic people.
That's an American.
It's just a point of view. You this is like when you're reducing the spectrum.
Yeah.
This is
And
literally
it's reduced enough. If you've just got ANU versus a think tank in the US that also funds the ANU duking it out. And that's the current debate.
Dude, someone just said too, Ozzy Osbourne, as in Aussie, like the country, said no one likes China unless they're giving them cheap labor and free trade. There is some hypocrisy here when it's like all the manufacturing of the West comes from there. It's like, it's not like it's not a country that like we haven't stepped footing. It's like, dude, all our shit is built there. All the companies, every fucking company that exists in the West uses it as a manufacturing hub, and it's like, oh, but now you're getting too popular. It's like, but you liked them when they were building your cheap wares. There has to be some fucking accountability.
The US and
Surely.
Australia wishes it was just that, which was a manufacturing hub. But it's even worse, which is what actually scares them. That they're not just a manufacturing hub anymore. They're a huge market.
No, I know that.
So whatever you manufacture, like, for example, we manufacture wine, we manufacture like lobsters, but we're having issues with. I
suppose we do.
We do. What are they called? Like Tassel, bro. Yeah.
But we're having issues with
BC
finding a
stuff.
market for that, which is the scary bit, because if you're essentially, by doing this, Australia's pitching it as that, like, we're definitely losing out on our economic progress. That's obvious. But what what the Liberal government is saying, that this is a necessary thing we have to do to protect ourselves.
Did the West? I understand that.
Yeah.
Did the West's investment into China with all the companies and Apple and all that shit, did that play a significant role in increasing China's GDP and making them grow?
100%. America made China.
Well, how is there not some accountability?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's crazy for America to be like, here's your $1 million. Hey, we're millionaires. How dare you?
Because
Which
they
is
didn't
what
play by the
happened.
rules.
That's crazy. That doesn't make sense. And especially when you
But
write
it
the
makes
rulebook, which is the
sense
free
because
market. It's like,
this is what I like. I'm so into this idea now of just blowing away all the rhetoric and just looking at it from a pure raw power
Economics.
perspective. It makes so much sense.
From an
It's just
economic
don't get
perspective.
put in this nitty gritty of like, we don't align with China's values. What are their values? You know, they hate democracy and stuff. Well, if you're going to say that, the US has installed more dictatorships than probably any country in history. So, like, just get rid of all of that and see what it is, which is just a giant chessboard. You know, and when you see it like that, and then that point makes sense that when they're getting what they want out of it, China's their best friend, and then when they're not getting what they want out of it, that's it. No, you can't take Taiwan. That's what's happening there.
Jesus, Chomsky, some fucking woke ass motherfucker. No, the opposite of that. Chicken based points. You're right. You're completely.
I think we all answered the question in the previous Twitch part that you can access as part of a Patreon.
Yeah.
King is the most kingly type.
Dude, I mean, look, I really. Who can you argue with that point? It's just a point. It's just power. It's power.
Yeah,
the point of chicken. No, it is power, but it's like
it's an old game. And the labels change, but the game stays the same.
But I think like the thing that worries me about that ultimately is if it's the old game, then we're really due for the chess piece is due for a war if it's the old game.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
We don't want that.
No, you don't want that. And I think that Paul Keating is putting the most sensible policy forward to avoid that war. With actually the nice little addition of Kevin Rudd going, well, we've just got this little, we're going to set up this embassy here. It's called we're going to make it look like a giant hand shaking. And China can sit in that hand over there and the US can sit there and we'll have little speakers so you can talk to each other.
I think Rudd's is better than Keating's. I think Keating's is good in many levels, but I think it's just... I think
Kevin Rudd is saying the same thing. He's just saying it diplomatically.
So can I get any...
And let's be honest, and Jor, I don't know if you guys would agree. If the Labour Party, the current shadow cabinet, the ones that are supposed to be in the cabinet, if they win, if you ask them personally, off the record, do you agree with Paul Keating? I bet you at least 80% of them would be like, yes.
Yeah.
But they're too afraid to,
you know what
to
else?
say it.
I would argue that 80% of Liberals off the record agree.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Well, there's a lot of dumbasses there. Yeah. The ones that don't have a background in real estate, so 20% of them.
But I still want to make this distinction between trade and power. Like in your ideal situation, right? Let's say we're trading, it's all fine. Like trading is back to how the best when it was best between China and Australia. Everyone's like, yeah, that's great. You know, if there's some soft power that starts encroaching, where's the line for you?
Wait, why
trade is soft power.
And why is soft power a bad thing? That's like...
Because it can influence culture, it can influence policy.
So what? That's like saying, it's the same thing as like BTS and Squid Game being big in Australia.
No, that's a bit of an understatement.
Wait, sorry, can you define soft power? Do you know, what is soft power to you?
Your policies start to become affected. It's like, well, I think that you should abandon Medicare.
That's
it's like, well, Xi Jinping reckons if we abandon Medicare, he'll up the lobsters. Let's abandon Medicare. As some
no, that actually ventures into hard power.
The US would be more inclined to say that than China would.
Soft power is basically... by saying soft, it's like it's trade.
Okay, hard power.
It's movies, hard power. Hollywood. Like Hollywood is soft power.
Hard power.
Well, what's hard power?
Influencing policy.
Yeah,
influencing policy.
Infiltrating politics, influencing policy, war.
Is that line? Could that line be crossed? What would you two be comfortable with?
Hard power line. I would not be comfortable with that.
They have this fantasy in their head that Australia is this free agent, as what Ali was saying before, that it's just calling its own shots and it's working in its best interest. And it's just not. It's working as a plaything of much bigger powers than us. Those powers already are infiltrating Australia.
Yeah.
You live in that reality.
That's true. But are you saying you'd rather China do that?
No, it's not a rather.
It's not a rather. It's kind of like
a rather. You just said one or the other. You said there's no middle ground. You pick your fucking
Mislav,
side.
sometimes
you pick your side, but it's not a rather. It's kind of a this is the reality. Can we look at how, like map and terrain are different. Let's look at the terrain.
Right.
And that's what all of these, and I swear to God, Scott Morrison is incapable of doing that, first off. Second off, he has no interest, and I think that he does just live in a fantasy world because he's some Pentecostal freak. And so I think that he is just looking at the map.
Right.
He's got this little imaginary universe of how Australia runs. I don't think he understands. He understands parts of the bureaucracy that I will never understand, and he's like a genius marketer. But when it comes to those kinds of decisions, I think he has zero interest in that whatsoever. And it's just, again, a weapons manufacturer putting in front of him a report that has ASPI on the front of it, so it looks like it's an official think tank, and that becomes his policy.
Okay, but like, again, let me answer my question. If hypothetically it could come to, China hard power versus American hard power, what's better? Who knows, right?
Well,
okay, if you're looking at the map as it is, China, as we said, builds infrastructure. The US makes its money off of bombing infrastructure.
But Mislav, let's not entertain those hypotheticals because it's useless activity that would just. True. But I think what also we need to realize is that we're not a big player in this. We are. Yeah. Sometimes you've got to respect the fact that you're a fucking spectator here. Yeah. And you've got to just look out for yourself. Make sure whoever wins is not out to kill you afterwards.
I think it's just that I look at the map of the world. I'm like, it's a big country there. I think I just look at landmass. I'm like,
it helps. The landmass definitely.
I forget that there's fucking 5 people in this country.
All right.
If you made the world, isn't that the case? Like, if you made the world 100 people, aren't we half a person or a leg or something?
A leg. Sure. We're a spleen.
We're the appendicitis.
Yeah. We're one of those organs that you can remove when it gets a little inflamed and it gets chucked in the bin.
I'm really going to shift my perspective of Australia because, like, I just watched, like, Gary Orsham and Blokes World. I'm like, the cars are big, which means we're a big player. Like, I actually think that.
All right, look, we're running out of time, so we've got a few other segments. Go on.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and girls... You're going to have to answer this.
What girls?
The 3 that watch.
Ban Mole.
Marilini.
Ban Mole. This is just for Ban Mole.
Ban Mole, Marilini, what do you reckon?
What do you reckon about this? Sandy, if you're watching.
I don't think she's not messaging. I don't think she's on tonight.
Sexiest race of men.
Rare.
Why? Why do you care about that?
Yeah, why do you care about that?
I was just at a fancy Italian restaurant the other day, and the guy was ugly. But as soon as he opened his mouth and was just like, hello, baby, what do you want for this? You could see my girlfriend being like, give him a tip, Like,
are you serious?
Yeah, it's just, if a guy, think about this. What?
I know, I saw that.
What? Don't say it.
Whoa.
You can't say that.
Well, I can say it.
Oh, okay.
It says not Indians. Thank you very much.
Wait, isn't that a compliment to you?
Look, let's be real. I am Indian.
No, you're not.
I mean, I am.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. You're a
Muslim. I'm telling you what it is.
Takia!
But you're Muslim. You are Muslim, and that's the whole thing. But this is...
Takia.
I was always thinking this. I was always saying this. When Indians are always saying, it's bullshit, we can't get any girls. Yeah, because you're not playing into your strength. Become a guru. You will have a harem.
Have you seen fucking...
All right, let's look at some of the other ones.
Yes, exactly.
What else they got?
Take it.
All right, so Indonesians.
Wasn't expecting that.
Banmol actually says I'm a sucker for Kiwis.
That is such a muso answer.
Southern Europe and Sri Lanka.
Aussies are the most sexy. So it's hot cookie. You're just going to get every answer, dude. You're going to get like every race on earth.
How is nobody saying Italian men?
Let's see, is there one for
And this is
Irish?
the whole trade-off, because it's always
Armenians?
that French and Italians are the sexiest,
Russian?
but don't you think that French men are little bitches? They're like
French
Macron.
women are hot though. I watched
Exactly, because it's a feminine country.
Whereas
Italy
that's
is
true.
the more masculine version.
Dude, I have a massive crush on the new, not new, but I watched the latest James Bond. The French girl in that.
Is it the one from The Matrix 2 again?
No, it's not Trinity. Anyway, she's awesome. She's a very lovely girl.
Someone said, Sergeant Patter said Armenians. I think you mean Turkish.
Oh, brutal.
Damn it. Sound effect time.
I'm not joking.
Look,
I don't know.
I just think that, honestly, if you are a bartender and you're an Italian, you're killing it. You're up there with Indian gurus.
Yes,
That's
Madeline.
the job for you. If you are sitting there being like, something to drink, a goofy, you want goof?
Yeah, that's my
There's
dream.
no context.
Yeah.
What are you going to say as an Australian that is going to be better than that?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just order like a menu. You know how to pronounce bolognese
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
By the way, for a lot of the world, Australian men are very hot.
Yeah, just because
Because they have the image that we're all from Bondi Rescue.
Yeah,
And let's be honest, we are.
they like the accent.
I went
They
to
love the
Gibbers.
accent.
Yeah, you
I
did,
wish
yeah.
I had the accent, which
No, you
is
don't-
really helpful, but actually it wouldn't work. But you know, again, and I don't know about men.
but you're exotic here, so it's
Yes.
all about No, it is
Getting less exotic.
maybe not in Parramatta, but like you know what I mean. But like basically, like if you're overseas, like even when I was overseas, like that in England, they'd be like, say it, and I'd be like kangaroo. They're like you know. So
North Koreans are the hottest. This is I don't know about
Actually
men.
kinda true.
Twitch.
I don't know about men, but for women, and I know both of you would very much disagree.
Let's keep in mind we aren't on the up late.
Yeah, I know, but let's be
We're getting
real.
close. Become a patron.
Become a patron.
And I think I speak for a lot of men out there. Latinas.
Yeah, you
I
can't.
don't speak for me, but
But can you disagree?
Can you disagree?
How can you disagree with that?
Just can't. You know
Well,
me.
give me some more
Because he
context.
likes pale women a little too much.
Okay, here. This is my ideal, like, woman.
I know, dead, but
My ideal woman is a mid-century handmaiden that's churning butter in a basement in Kent.
yeah. 'Cause she'd know how to do a good wristy.
All right.
All that practice for churning butter is your fucking metaphor, yeah?
They would have more practice than a current massage parlor, wouldn't they?
For sure.
Um,
It's a serious problem for me.
What about
Pale
Norwegians?
is best.
Norwegian men.
someone said that.
Jesus, someone's into trolls.
Trolls.
Just every time I think of those people up there, I'm like, how
Torbs.
we have
Torbs.
you have like 1% DNA of Homo erectus and we have 1% DNA of Neanderthal. They have 1% DNA of a mythic troll race that is.
So true.
Leprechauns.
That's why they're so tall
Dude.
because they're like Hagrid.
Yeah,
they're a
dude.
little bit giant.
I saw Torbs recently.
He's a troll.
He's got a foot on me, and he's 10% more chill than I last saw him. It's just
How?
I don't know.
How is he not that magic carpet from Aladdin yet? How do you
He'll
be that chill and still be a human?
He had to. Oh, I probably shouldn't say.
Yes, you're saying it.
He had to come.
Listen to this.
He had to come back. He had to come back to Sydney to quote, remember who he was, because he took so much psilocybin he forgot who he was. There was like his ego was diminishing at such a rate that he was like, oh, I gotta get back to Sydney or I won't exist.
And is it incredible that after experiencing that heavy of an ego death, all he needed was 3 days in Sydney's inner west to get that ego right back up? Says all you need to know.
Self-consciousness mixed with arrogance. What a combo!
Yeah, that's what you needed, Torbs. Get that in you.
All right. Okay. So I'm guessing we've answered that one. There's one more segment.
Yep.
No, there's actually a few more, but let's do this one. Have you guys? I know you have, Jordan. Have you checked out Pauline Hanson's new animation?
I have, Ken.
So the controversy is, which is I think the same controversy which Trump faced when he was running for the Republican election, and he went on Jimmy Fallon. Stop humanizing it. Just because it's like South Park doesn't change Pauline Hanson.
Yes, it does. Soft power.
I would.
Look, can we also just add this? That's the best animation since Rick and Morty. I'm calling it now.
It was funny. I enjoyed
Hilarious.
it.
It was very funny.
What was better since then? Give me an animation that Adult Swim has produced that was funnier.
I do like your mate Cusack though.
Stand corrected. Stand corrected. But I'm saying whoever that was, and I assume it was Pauline Hanson's nephew,
Yeah, it's got to be her nephew or something.
maybe the guys that did Big Les, which I'll also include as being funnier, but they had better characters to work with. They just invented Sasquatches and then gave them Torbs' voice. That's awesome.
Sorry, go on. Finish that.
Just saying, man, like, I think nothing works better than a funny animation. There's nothing that is ever going to be funnier than an animation that gets it right and there's going to be nothing more painful than an animation that
Gets
doesn't
it
get it
wrong.
right.
Dude,
They got it right.
Dude, my take is like, I obviously the zeitgeist is like, Paul Keating can't talk, so Pauline Hanson can't talk. But I think the same applies for Keating. You should let whoever talk. The fuck that, you know what I mean? If Keating can get a platform, like, you know, she voted.
Well,
she voted.
Keating, it deserves a platform a lot more than Pauline
Well,
Hanson.
she voted for the union bill. She's pro union.
This is okay. This is my opinion. This is like I grew up in a country where the extremist element, which you would argue in Pauline Hanson Australia's case, is about 30 to 40% of the population, which is really scary if you think about it. And from experience of that country and how to deal with this extremist,
They hate Indians just as much.
no, they're like, dude, like
I thought he was an
currently.
Indian. Fuck.
Currently, there's a big issue. Like, some of them have just one point agenda, which is do not insult the prophet. That's all they care about. And anyways, but my point
Fair.
is, this is what I have
All that political
noticed.
power aimed at one thing.
when you've got extremist elements in your society that you would ideally not want them to like contribute to the general rhetoric. The one thing you've got two options: either you mainstream them or you ostracize them. Right? There's
Yeah, right. You can't just do the Alex Jones thing and try to just.
well, that's ostracizing.
Oh, I suppose that is.
So basically, you do not give them a platform. What I have noticed, and this is mostly coming from extremist Islamic elements, that if you ostracize them, they usually become a lot more radical and extremist. If you mainstream them, because they have to sell their ideas in the marketplace, and most people are moderates, they have to tone down their rhetoric a little bit. So what I'm saying is the best way to actually, I know this is going to be.
I don't think one nation's going to win the northern beaches.
Exactly. And if you ostracize them too much, they still won't win, but they might actually become more popular because then they get the martyrdom thing going for them. So
And on top of that,
you've got to let them participate in the marketplace of ideas, and that will be a moderating force. That's my opinion.
Dude, that's the
now,
best opinion.
and the other point is, I don't know. I'm going to have to look this up, but I think One Nation might be the only minor party that isn't leeching votes off the Labor Party, except for in that one Musselbrook seat.
Right.
But usually, I think that they damage the Liberal Party vote. And if you look at their record, yeah, they vote with the Liberal Party 90% of the time. But Pauline Hanson is the reason that we don't have Work Choices 2.0.
Yeah, she voted against that. And Jackie
I'll
Lamb.
take it. Huh?
And Jackie Lamb.
Yeah, well, she was always going to do that. Look at her.
Yeah.
Kids, just give them a go.
I think Ali said it pretty concisely, really. It's
Yeah, of
like-
course. But on top of that, like, I hate this point of, like, you're enabling her. What the fuck? It's a funny video. I can guarantee you this. It's not going to change a single vote.
Yeah, and like...
I watched it. I thought it was mad. Am I going to vote for her? Well, Mark Latham changed over. Maybe. It's funny.
And you don't even,
Maybe he was onto something.
you don't even have to get your playbook from like Islamic countries, like I said. You just look at the Trump election.
Yeah.
We tried to do the same thing with Trump, or at least the Americans did, which is to shun him away from like mainstream media. And guess what? He won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's and I'm assuming that it's all ABC types that are saying this kind of stuff. Seeing as Pauline Hanson did that, I'm assuming on a budget of like $5,000. How about, if you're so worried about that, you make some good Australian content for once? Wouldn't that be a good alternative?
That thing cost $5,000?
I don't know. How much do you think it costs?
$100?
Yeah, okay. Well, probably. I was being a bit generous there.
I mean, that's a fair call.
I'm sick of this. I'm sick to death of those people creating shit art with our tax dollars, almost limitless as well, because it's just concentrated in so few hands, sitting there going, no, you can't watch that. Build something better. You have the resources.
Yeah.
Make a show that Australians actually want to watch instead of just making another play that should be entitled, You Should Be Ashamed of Yourself.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the public purse could do with like more entertaining stand-up.
Yeah, that'd be a good start.
By the way, just a question, and this is genuinely a question because I'm not sure. When Pauline Hanson went to jail, when she came out, wasn't she more popular?
Yes.
Really?
So that is a very clear example of what happens when you ostracize someone, which is literally putting them in jail, and they come out as a hero and they get even more votes.
Yeah,
Guess what would have happened if you hadn't sent her to jail? She wouldn't have gotten nearly those kinds of votes because
Like
people don't
thing?
sympathize. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like people get pissed off when you're forcefully ostracizing someone. So even if they don't necessarily believe in everything that she says and they're somewhat sympathetic, by you shunning her, they definitely go onto their side. When she comes back and she has to like compete, they're like, oh, I don't know.
Dude, it's like
Pauline's fine, but like liberals are good too, and I get to save taxes. So what I'm saying is like, then there's no additional motivation for them to go for the martyr because none exists.
Dude, it's 1984 thought police shit. You either are a dictatorship and there's like everything censored, or all ideas are on the table. You can't fucking pick and choose.
What idea was she saying in those videos that was so egregious? It was like Green's talking points of, did you know that you've got preferences? You've got preferences. That was her point.
Yeah, and calling, what's his name, a beetroot.
Yeah. And I thought the Where's Porter line, gold.
It was funny. It was funny.
Every line in it made me laugh. There wasn't one point where I thought, nah, that skipped a beat.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny.
The caricatures were on point.
They were. I was kind of just like, oh.
And you know what? I
leave
think
Albo alone. Like when it was like CFMU, I'm like, why'd you have to make Albo look so evil? Like,
I don't think that is because of my bias. I honestly think that was the weakest caricature, which shows that Albo's doing a bang up job. That they can't turn him into a caricature
because he's not like
exactly. Yeah.
I've got to say, they've done something that I have been trying to do for the last 3 years, which is turn Scott Morrison into some sort of a caricature. And then I was just like, Hawaiian shirt. Why didn't I think of that?
I probably should
don't like these Journeys merch. Get out of here.
I probably shouldn't be looking at the comments, but I'm getting a lot of hate. And the crux of it is, Ali, give racists a public platform. Can I just say something? Look, I am going to be against racism. Like, it's really detrimental to my own interests. However, just by not giving them a public platform, racism doesn't evaporate. Like, it still exists. It's like putting things under the carpet.
Yeah.
And when you put it on the carpet, you don't know how it's developing and how it might come out later at some point.
What do you mean give them a public platform? What? You want her banned from YouTube? Is that your ideal scenario?
I think that's what they're saying. But but by banning her, she doesn't go away.
And also, here's the other thing. She is not going to win an additional seat because of that cartoon.
Yeah, it's just a very Netflix opinion, isn't it? It's like, I saw it on TV. It's like, YouTube?
Yeah. What?
Let's try to.
No, I'm sorry. Let's
aim at the big fish here and try to deplatform Gary Awesome. That dude's Foo Fighters covers suck.
Hey, don't say things you can't take back.
Hey,
I thought it was better than the original.
I know you don't want to deplatform him.
But pay this. It was better than the original. It's not saying much. But
yeah, I'll pay that. His voice like,
here's the thing. I will pay Foo Fighters, and this is where I think you're right. We should make that the main aim. Instead of focusing all of your hatred and contempt on Pauline Hanson, focus it on the big fish. Until the Foo Fighters comes up with an album name that isn't utterly ridiculous, let's focus on deplatforming them.
We, by the way, have, I think, like 5 Foo Fighters posters around the office.
Yeah. But as memorabilia, it's kind of like the Holocaust Museum, right? Just so we know not to do that again. Concrete and gold.
Minutes to midnight. Minutes at midnight?
Medicine at midnight.
Oh, medicine
at midnight.
It's so good.
Okay, Jordan, and we've got to do it because you told me to do this on the pod, which I wasn't going to. This is the last segment, Miss.
Yeah.
So this wasn't supposed to be a segment. I wanted to talk to you about this privately.
Oh, great. No, let's do it on a public platform live.
So, but Jordan thought it would be a fun thing for the pod. So, Miss, you know how I helped you move? I helped you move.
Yeah.
And you gave me a guitar as a
payment.
gift.
Yeah.
So you know where this is going, don't you?
No.
I have
new metal song.
No.
Oh my God.
What?
I have brought that guitar back and I have to give it back to you.
Why?
So
maybe we should let the guitar do the talking. That's music's its own language.
no, but like the guitar. Okay, so and I swear to God, I don't want to do this on the pod. I promise you, I am not lying when I say this.
Yeah.
Ever since I took that guitar home, my dog, Rumi, has been freaking out over that guitar. I kept this because he doesn't enter into my room. He keeps barking at it.
What?
He thinks it's insane. So I actually, and this wasn't even, I thought he was just afraid of the stickers or something.
Yeah.
So I literally kept it in my closet without him being there.
Yeah.
He can still sense it. He comes, he looks at my closet, he barks, and he runs away. So
What?
Don't act so surprised, Mislav.
No, are you kidding me?
I personally
Have you looked at your guitar?
I can't have it because my dog would
I've
just
looked
like
at it.
literally ball up in a corner and wouldn't do anything.
This is
This
is fucking mental. This is witchcraft.
It
Yes.
might be cursed.
It's the trampoline.
I'm sorry. Can we look at this
Yeah,
guitar
let's analyze
and
it.
you determine whether it's cursed? Let's get the poll going, but first you're going to have to judge this.
All right.
We're going to start with the most egregious offender first off. Homer Simpson as Dr. Zoidberg.
There you go. That's the one. Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I didn't make that. I like it. But I'll go one by one. I think it's very funny because it's mashing up two together. Yay.
Let's go to the second scariest one then. Mislav in year 7.
I did. When I was handing over the guitar, I did think like, maybe I should take the passport photo of me. Nah.
I think I figured out why it might be cursed. You put an upside down cross on it. Is that why you have to wear the gold necklace with the cross on it to cancel out the bad juju?
I can't believe this. This is blowing up right in my face. Let's go every single one because this is insanity. Have you got any? Like,
Everything on it is so offensive.
What about Move
like
FM?
this mutant over here, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sticker on the other side, just for good measure, that says "Stick it to the man stickers." Well, that's necessary. A crossbow. I mean, sorry, a skull and crossbones, but with skaters. Someone definitely didn't grow up on the North Shore.
What about the fucking Move FM?
Yeah, put over the top with a beer, of course, because those are your priorities in life.
Yeah, that's true.
Radio station where you had a budging career in radio, but this is what you prioritize more, being a bartender.
Go back to the other side. Is there anything?
We're trying our best. Well, it's glad to see that you were really into motivation before I taught you about self-help.
This is
Dr. No Effect. This is a cursed guitar. How many bad omens and symbols do you want to put on it? This is the back.
I can't believe this. This is blowing my mind.
On a black guitar.
It's just, I tried to get rid of it. This guy came.
You tried to get rid of it, he did.
No, I didn't.
You tried to curse him.
I wasn't trying to get rid of it. I love that guitar. It's my first guitar. I wasn't trying to get rid of it. It was a gift.
And people are thinking that we're pranking you, but I swear to Allah, not a single word of what I've said is false. I really can't take that home.
This is...
Look, I love Lithgow. Well, so do I. But it's also a really powerful statement to put on something that you're putting all of your dreams into. Yeah, that's where I want to end up. Right here, the real Hollywood of Australia. Just this scary Antifa cunt at the bottom, giving the finger. Sideshow Bob, yeah, the least evil Simpsons character. And Bart falling into a well.
It is evil.
There's not one positive symbol on this guitar, and you're wondering why the dog is freaked out.
I never realized. This is just my brain. I've just never realized I'm giving you a satanic instrument. I didn't. This is like I've never. Are you serious?
100%. Dude, and I'm not kidding. I swear to Allah.
I
kept this so to hide it from my dog.
Yeah.
I kept it in my closet, right? Close the door so you can see it.
Yeah.
Because he would often sleep in my bed. So he usually would sleep on where my feet are.
Yeah.
On the footrest.
Yeah.
That was his because that guitar was in the closet. I don't even know how Rumi knew that it was in the closet. He would stay the fuck away from the foot and he would come right next to me and he would snuggle and he would hide it. And he would cry. Now you think
It's
that
cursed.
this
It's
dog is
cursed.
afraid of other things? I swear to God, Mislav, this is the only thing he's afraid of.
Dude, I don't know what I'm shocked. I don't know what to tell you. Look, I'm utterly shocked. The history of the guitar is that I did buy it off my neighbor in high school. It was my second guitar that he sold to me because he, quote, needed money for weed. And the guitar did just sit in his room, and there was so much billowing weed smoke and cigarette smoke that the pick guard, the tappet. You know what I'm talking about, Jordan? No, that part, the white. Yeah, that's supposed to be white, and it's yellow because of all the cigarette and weed smoke. But that's not satanic.
Yeah, but maybe every single sticker on it might have added to the fact that I mean, come on, this. You know what this reminds me of, Miss?
What?
And people in the comments, first off, we need to know, is Mislav's guitar cursed?
Yeah,
but the second...
please tell me, because I didn't give it to you. I wasn't just like, you just keep on walking. I was trying to be nice.
Okay, we've got a few
I
questions.
was trying to be nice.
Do you have wooden floors, Ali? Could the strings reverberate and the dog is just puzzled? First of all, no, I don't.
He wasn't playing it.
I swear, it's
cursed.
bizarre. I honestly, even if I knew that guitar wasn't cursed, I couldn't keep it in my house. Like, my dog would refuse to come into the room.
Dude, this is I'm impressed. I'm just don't know.
But can I ask you a question?
It's really scaring me because there's a Goosebumps book that Tu pointed out.
Yeah.
Where I can't remember what it was. I think it was like some relic that was an egg that this archaeologist was trying to find and this tribe had. And once you grabbed the egg, you were cursed and you could never find your way home. So there was no nomadic tribe wandering the forests of North America that could never find their way out.
Oh my God.
And then they gave the egg over to them. But the trick was that the archaeologists had to legitimately want it and they had to legitimately argue against it before handing the egg over. And then as soon as he got it, the last sentence was, "We got it. Now, which way was out?" Beep, 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 beep. Dude. How fitting for this dog-related story.
Dude, it's a cursed instrument, but
it's cursed.
Can I ask you a question? Ever since you've given it to me, has anything changed in your life?
Yes, it did.
Well, I did.
Yes, it did.
Move out, but that was during. I moved out. That was nice, and now I'm in a new place.
And how is it?
Good. Really good.
I bet if we throw this under a steamroller and see it destroyed, it'll end up in Mislav's house tomorrow.
The same fucking guitar.
This is the guitar from hell.
I just say so. I don't know. I don't have any anecdotes. I don't have any witty remarks. I'm shocked and progressively by the minute getting more and more terrified. It
was really strange because just before that, my accountant said, "Make no mistake, Jordan," because he was a concert pianist in the former Soviet Union and now he's an accountant here. So he's a brilliant man. But he said something, and as soon as he did, it rang in my ears.
Yeah.
And then this happened. But he said, "Make no mistake about it, Jordan. Music is a curse." And it picked in my ear because all of the musos from Newtown started flashing before me in their BWS name tags, one after the other.
He's right. He's a smart dude. He's a smart man. It is a fucking curse. It is a curse. It's just a black hole that I funnel cash into. But
this one literally has a black hole on it.
I just didn't think the fucking instrument was cursed. I don't know what to...
Got severed monkey paws.
Can I also ask you a question? Did your dogs, when you were living in Lithgow, did they ever do anything funny with that guitar?
No, I can't say they did, but... No, I can't say they did, but the thing is,
Well, I'll give you this. When Zeus lived there, he rarely, if ever, entered the sunroom, which is where this was.
I was going to say the sunroom wasn't entered much by the dogs, and I think that guitar might have been at my mum's house for quite a while.
Yeah.
You're taking it. I literally
Okay.
cannot. Even if I think it's not cursed, like
No,
for my dog's welfare, I cannot.
Jordan, maybe
Well,
the cycle
look, is there
continues.
anyone that's a psychic in the audience? What do we do with this? Because I do think that we need to put it in that museum in, that horror film that, they put all the cursed stuff behind glass cabinets.
like the night, like that. What was that one called? Night at the Museum. Is that
Let's
it?
put it this way. Does anyone want to buy this? Because
Yeah.
I don't want Mislav having it either. I don't want it here.
I would rather sell it. I would rather sell. I don't.
I can't believe that this never crossed your mind.
I'll get
What was
rid of the
stickers on
curse
here?
for grand.
He wants $1,000 to take it. I was thinking more. You give us $1,000.
Does anyone want a cursed guitar?
Yeah, I guess. Does anyone want it? I mean, maybe we can just send it to someone and.
Well, one of the
You're talking to the wrong person because I am a self-admitted medieval gypsy, but
Yeah.
this does have a lot of bad omens on it. A lot.
It does. It fucking does. Oh, it's so weird to see it
Ale,
again.
should you put up the lyrics to Highway to Hell and we'll get Mislav to play us out?
yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh,
You want like karaoke?
I just need a guitar pick.
You don't need that.
Nah.
What about this? Does that work?
Yeah. That'll. No, actually, no. I need a coin. Where's my fucking wallet? Oh, it's out here. I've got one. It's time to rock.
What's everyone saying? Did they
One.
do a poll?
Last
Yeah,
time.
some people were like, "We'll take it. I'll give you $20 for it. I'll take it, boys."
You have to be in
Maybe like
Sydney.
it needs to be one of our patrons.
Yeah. Maybe we can auction it off to a patron.
I'll
Let's
do like
that.
I'll
Let's
do like
auction it
a
off.
Patreon post or something.
I would also like to do this experiment where just before that, Miss, can you put this back in your house for a week and tell us if your life goes to shit?
Yeah, for sure. I'll do that. Let's
It'd be
see.
so weird that if we looked underneath his jumper, all of a sudden he has a six-pack.
It just came, man. It just came. Yeah. And then I get the new house. I'm just like, boys, I've got COVID. Fuck. No, we're gonna do that experiment, and then what we'll do is we'll discuss an auction on the Patreon. But I want to try that now because that's so weird, dude. But I promise you, dude. I promise you, I wasn't just like,
Yeah. Jesus.
Because you also
I wasn't. That wasn't.
you also spooked me because remember when I asked you for that marble? Even though it wasn't for this, you were like, "Well, I wasn't gonna give this marble to anyone, but because you have asked for it, this is the only way I can give you this marble."
God,
That
but I
was-
said that was for good luck.
I mean, it's just got such a bad beginning to it as well that you bought this for weed money.
I know. No, I bought it off someone.
That's what I'm
He wanted it
saying.
for
That,
weed. Yeah, I
that
know.
exchange there.
That's an evil exchange.
Again, I'm the wrong person to be talking about this.
No,
but
it
it's
is.
a bad omen.
I think it's a bad start. It's
a bad start.
Will you buy my guitar? I need weed money. Okay. It's not a great start.
Well, that was
I
our
actually
show.
am legitimately scared by this. Let me just say.
I
It's
am
not a
too.
joke.
No, I know. It's just fucking funny, dude. I'll play us out.
If you don't believe me, come to my house with this
No,
guitar.
I believe
and
it's just-
trust me, just look at my dog when he
think-
sees the
Do
guitar.
you think he'd do it with a guitar that isn't covered with?
I used to have another guitar. Remember I told you how my brother took it back to Queensland? It used to be in my room. He never got freaked out by that guitar. It's only this one.
What's Band Mole's view on this?
She
Let's
wants
get Band
she
Mole
wants
on
the
film.
guitar.
She wants it, which is scary because it's just like curse. Yeah, come on, can't get more cursed.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
something.
dating a demon.
I'm gonna try the experiment, and I think we should still. It'd be cool to auction it off, and I don't know.
Is Sandy listening?
I don't think Sandy.
I don't think she is here.
Limmy's on.
But we can auction it off and we'll give the money to the charity of your choosing.
Sounds good. Can I be a charity? No, we can do that. We can do that. That sounds like
Mislav
fun.
needs weed money fund.
Actually,
It
that would be
continues.
to send money to charity. Would be like a cool way to to break the curse. Maybe
But then that charity will go out of business.
Well,
I
people
think
are
it
saying you've got
rightfully
to.
should be spent on weed.
People
That's
are
what
saying you've got to send it to Gary Awesome.
Yes.
that would be funny. But he would just be like, "What's your shit? Les Paul or bass? I'm not playing Strat." That's all he'd say. Because he rocks so hard, he needs the fucking Guns N' Roses guitar, you know.
Well,
Of course.
Don't want to play
This
us
isn't
out?
satanic enough.
It's fucked and like let
that's how you end. You play like
We're
this
all gonna- we're all
Highway
gonna-
to Hell.
Yeah, Jesus.
Here's the
Sign up
lyrics
to
if you
Patreon.
want.
We've got
No,
more
Jordan gets the
blue
lyrics. Jordan
material.
gets the lyrics.
Oh, you want to?
Do I? I suppose I do the best Bon Scott, don't I?
All right. How does it go again? Okay. Does it go like this? Yeah, it does. Go both. So apt, because it's like Highway to Hell on a cursed guitar. Take it away, George.
Living easy, loving free, season ticket on a one-way ride. Asking nothing, leave me be. Taking everything in my stride. Don't need reason, don't need rhyme. Ain't got nothing I'd rather do. Going down, party time. My friends are gonna be there too.
All right, you know what, Ollie?
I'm on the highway to hell. Highway to hell. Highway to hell. Highway to hell. No stop signs, speed limit. Nobody's gonna slow me down. Like a wheel, gonna spin it. Nobody's gonna mess me around. Hey, city, paid my dues, playing in the rockin' band. Hey, mama, look at me.
Damn, this got dark.
I'm all the way to the promised land.
We're all going to hell.
I'm on the highway to hell. Highway to hell. I'm on the highway to hell. Highway to hell.
Solo? Oh, is that gonna work?
Don't stop me.
All right, time to rock it. Fuck. 3, 4.
Highway to hell. Highway to hell. Highway to hell. I'm on the highway to hell. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We will see you next week, and consider becoming a patron to listen to the Upload. And I'm going down all the way. I'm on the highway to hell. And the highway to hell.
You know, that song is quite satanic.